once heard the rather wretched story of a teenaged guy who happened to be chatting with a teenaged girl, and after a few minutes of pleasant conversation, she asked the question. Now we have all heard the question, and some of us dread the question. That question is, so where do you go to school? That boy told the truth. He was homeschooled, so she responded, oh, so you must be one of those really smart, unsocialized people then, huh? What are you supposed to say to that? I mean, they've just been having a normal conversation. Maybe he should have said, oh, you're public schooled, so you must be one of those illiterate, socialized people then, huh? Homeschoolers are so generalized and stereotyped today, and that provides me with a lot of opportunities for sarcastic answers to dumb questions I run into when asked about my means of becoming educated. We'll be going over a list of 11 popular misconceptions about homeschoolers. If I don't freak out about having to talk to people in the process, and hopefully Mom won't expel me for talking to strangers. Number 1, we never socialize because we never leave the house. But if, however, heaven forbid, we do socialize, it's with family, friends, and other members of our homeschool club. As a result, my siblings are my bestest friends, and a trip to the grocery store is considered a field trip. I get extra credit one of my classes if I can make eye contact with the cashier, and I'm graced with a sample item of food if I can muster the courage to ask the employee for one. I always tell people this point is the reason for my fair complexion, you know? I never allow the sunlight to touch my skin because I never leave the house. They laugh like I'm joking. But the truth is actually quite far from this. I once stayed with some friends of my dad's to babysit their kid, and the mom told me that she was surprised. She thought that because I was homeschooled, I would be kind of introverted and very weird, but instead, I was easy to talk to, outgoing, and much better at socializing with adults than most teenagers. And just because homeschoolers are educated at home doesn't mean that the only people they socialize with are the ones who live in the same house. In fact, when I was both public schooled and private schooled, not at the same time, the only places I went were school, piano lessons, and home. Number 2, we're either really smart or ridiculously stupid. And either the kindergartners are splitting atoms and cloning the cows, because all homeschoolers live on farms in the middle of nowhere, or they're just learning to hold a crayon and count to 4. And either little Tommy is going to Harvard at 10, or he's just going to live in his parents' basement until he's 35, studying the Bible. I hate to be the one to break it to you, but homeschooled kids are human. Ultimately, we're only as smart as how hard we're willing to work towards our education, and that goes for most people too, which probably explains the current state of our society. And the basement Bible studies. I'm devoting a whole point to discussing this bit. Number 3, we only talk about Jesus, Christianity, and religion. The only books we read are the ones in the Bible, and the only music we listen to are the Psalms. And gosh darn it, I do wish David would come out with another one, because I'm tired of listening to the same 150 on repeat. The fact of the matter is, most homeschoolers tend to come from well-rounded families, and although we can certainly talk about Jesus and Christianity if you'd like us to, our interests are broader than just our faith. Number 4, we're super conservative and right-wing hippies all the way. Let me just throw a question out there. Do I look like a hippie to you? Sorry to burst the bubble, but I wash my hair with shampoo, my hands with soap, and shave my legs with plastic razors. And if I'm feeling particularly bad, I won't recycle them either. Being conservative and right-winged, however, depends solely on the family. Number 5, we're not hip. We ain't got no swag. Dress code, girls just cover their ankles, wear turtlenecks with frills, and have long hair. And if you cut it, you just lost your glory and honor. And don't forget the no makeup Mondays and Tuesdays, and, well, just about every other day of the week. And the boys must wear their shirts tucked in and jeans, and of course, nerd glasses, because you're not a homeschooler, you don't need them. Okay, yes, these stereotypes are based on truth, but that doesn't go for every single homeschooled family. The majority of female competitors here wear makeup in some way, shape, or form, and their skirts are typically knee-length. And the boys don't look like total dweebs. Homeschoolers can be classy too. Spread the word. Number 7, we all have 25 kids or just one weird one. And either way, they all have funky names. Let me show you a stereotypical homeschool family meeting a stranger. Instead of, this is my oldest Benjamin, his sister Jane, and little Timothy who just turned 2, we get, here's Joanne, Clarice, Maria, our brother Jonathan, Paul, Aquinas, and Sales, Josiah, Benjamin, Ignatius, Clive, Staples, Lewis, Zebediah, Zacchaeus, Jacob, Ron, and I believe you've already met Michael, Augustine, Loyola, Gilbert, Keith, Jesterton. We call him Colby. Now, I'm the second oldest of 3 kids. And yeah, our last name is a bit exotic, but we can't choose that. Our first names are pretty simple though. Rock, Rana, and Sophia. And while many homeschooling families do tend to be a bit large, not all of them are, but even if they were, What's wrong with that? God himself told us to be fruitful and multiply. Number 8, we are ridiculously sheltered. Michael Augustine Loyola Gilbert Keith Chesterton, whom we call Colby, is much too precious for this world. Since the day he was born, we kept him swaddled in bubble wrap and watched him from outside the incubator until he was 10 and a half. We only read him Bible stories at bedtime and feed him organic blended food, because he might choke on anything solid, you know. And once he's 19, we'll order a bride who grew up just like he did. Well, first we need to define what sheltered means. If you mean sheltered as in no R-rated movies, drugs, and alcohol, then yes, most of us are sheltered. But if you mean sheltered as in our parents actually sitting beside us, ready to slap their hands over our eyes during a mildly exciting part of a, if we're really lucky, PG-rated movie, then no, we're not sheltered. Number 9. We don't actually do school. We just take advantage of the charter school funds to buy fun things and play around all day. Science? A walk in the park, literally. But typically between the hours of 8 and 3 when normal kids would be in school. Heaven forbid we make eye contact with another human being. Oh, and because we don't actually do school, we have time to create our own orchestras because, you know, we have 25 kids and each of them is a musical prodigy. And most of us simply choose the option of homeschooling because we feel that we get a better education. And come on, from my experience in the regular school system and the local college where I dual enroll, most of the kids aren't intelligent enough to socialize with anyway. Trust me, I've tried. I mean, really, only idiots can't hold a conversation about quantum physics. Number 10, misconception that children are either angels with military-like obedience abilities or half-human golem-like creatures sent from the darkest pits of Mordor. Wait, or no, sorry, we'll get to that in a sec. But the reality, again, we're only human. And someone once told me that children are 10 times as bad as their parents were when they were kids. That might be why she never had kids, but hey, I'm not judging. And finally, number 11. We have one television set, if any, and we monitor everything. Oh, and we only want nerds for offspring, so Mystery Science Theater 3000 is a science fiction for the kiddies, and Doctor Who is for the older kids. And the only R-rated movie they will ever see under our roof is The Passion of the Christ. Now, most of my homeschooling friends actually use curriculums and watch more TV than is probably healthy. No, definitely more TV than is healthy. All of my American friends now think they're British, and where once I had a friend named Susie, I now seem to be stuck with the Doctor. Or Thor. But what it all comes down to is the fact that every family is different. And at the end of all this, what we see is a subculture of human beings that will either change the world when they crawl out of their caves or go crazy and conform to its ways. In the Bible, we're instructed to be fruitful and multiply. As Dr. Peter Kraft once said, I do not think he meant for us to grow oranges and invent calculators. We homeschoolers disagreed and took it both ways, which is why we're super smart and live on farms. Thank you.